Indiana at number 2, Ohio State.
Yep, you heard that correct. Indiana at Ohio State. It's only, I think, a 40-point spread right now. And I think it's actually ticked up from the last time I looked. It might be 40.5. Ohio State favored, by the way. If you were wondering at all, Ohio State's favored by the 40.5. I'm almost certain this is the largest spread in a game that I've ever called. So we'll see how it goes. The Hoosiers have lost 6 straight, but it's not about Indiana. It's not about the fact that Indiana has been struggling mightily on their offensive line. They had to replace their offensive line coach after the Michigan game this last year, during the course of the season. I counted like 16 tackles for loss that they gave up a week ago in that loss to Penn State. But it's not about Indiana. It's not about Tom Allen. It's not about that. Clearly, it's a 40-point spread for Ohio State. It's about Ohio State. And for Ohio State, there's really only one question that they need to be addressing, and that is, what are you on the offensive line? I talked about this on Monday, and it was the basis of why I moved Michigan ahead of Ohio State to number 2, at least in my poll, coming out of last weekend. I know the weather was bad last Saturday. I get it. And as I said on Monday, I've played in a game where there was 30, 35, 40, 45 mile an hour winds right in my delayed, at Iowa State by an actual tornado. True story, in 2005. When we rolled out there, the wind was just howling right in our face. We couldn't throw the football, and it was very difficult to run the ball. But we weren't Ohio State. And the bottom line is that Ohio State wasn't playing a team that was even in the middle of the Big Ten last week. They were playing Northwestern. And they did not control the game with their offensive line to the degree that they should have. Now, did they win? Yes. Was it far too difficult? Yes. Are they really good when the weather is fine? Yes. As I said before, during the course of this week, I trust Ohio State more in a potential Big Ten championship game in a dome in Indianapolis, in a CFP semifinal, which would most likely be like in Glendale in the Fiesta Bowl, or in the CFP National Championship game, which this year is going to be in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. I trust them much more in those conditions than I do that, let's say, if the weather's bad on November 26th. Now, I know that Buckeye fans are not crashing weather.com this week because it's Indiana. It's a 40-point spread. But if you were checking on Saturday's weather, it's 42 degrees with 13 mile an hour of wind. They're likely going to be just fine. But they have to focus on getting tougher with their offensive line. They've got to focus on trying to establish some rhythm with their offensive line. Now, we've seen them struggle at times before, even under Ryan Day, and it took them a while, but they eventually figured it out. Like the COVID year, they weren't running the ball all that great to begin the year. And what happened? Well, Justin Fields got a little bit loose in the run game as a quarterback. And then they found Trey Sermon, backed him up into the pistol, and he became very dynamic to the point where he set an Ohio State record for rushing in a game in their Big Ten championship game against Northwestern. And that was a much better Northwestern team than what they faced a week ago. Mayan Williams was their featured back last week. We'll see about Trevion Henderson and his health. Mayan Williams had 11 carries for 22 yards in the first half. It was much better in the second half, so kudos for them for that. 15 attempts, 89 yards in the second half. But it's all about that run game. Again, Buckeye fans, all you're doing, and I know a lot of you, is checking the weather for November 26th. And you need to alleviate some of that with the potential of a dominant run performance this week in a game in which you have a 40-point spread. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.